Okay, Jamie, just really quickly, let's do a sound check now that we're active. Can you hear me?
I sure can.
Okay, and I can hear you too.
Perfect.
So we'll get started here in a couple minutes.
Sounds great.
In the meantime, I'm going to give our attendees a big hello. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're thrilled to be able to have Jamie do her presentation today. It's such a fascinating topic, and I think right with the times here, as the world is moving into the vaccination process, things are going to start to get more active. Pets are going to be home alone. People are going to be changing. So there's going to be all kinds of reasons to decompress. While we give our attendees a bit of time, because we're not quite to the top of the hour, I'm just going to play a little video about PAC just to keep people entertained, and we'll get started here in a minute or two.
As a professional pet care provider, you assume you are good at what you do. But how can you prove to prospective clients that you have the training and skills to provide exceptional care for their pets? The Professional Animal Care Certification Council is here to change that. Independent certification is becoming essential in the pet care industry, and PAC is the not-for-profit organization that offers 3 different levels of certification. Whether you're a provider who spends most of your time hands-on with the pets, a manager, or an operator, there's an exam specially designed for you. PAC certification is how you can set yourself apart as a credible professional in the world of pet care. Validate your knowledge and expertise with certification today. The Professional Animal Care Certification Council. It's safer in a PAC. As a professional pet care provider, you assume you are good at what you do. But how can you prove to prospective clients that you have the training and skills to provide exceptional care for their pets? The Professional Animal Care Certification Council is here to change that. Independent certification is becoming essential in the pet care industry, and PAC is the not-for-profit organization that offers 3 different levels of certification. Whether you're a provider who spends most of your time hands-on with the pets, a manager, or an operator, there's an exam specially designed for you. PAC certification is how you can set yourself apart as a credible professional in the world of pet care. Validate your knowledge and expertise with certification today. The Professional Animal Care Certification Council. It's safer in a PAC.
Okay, very good. That's our pet commercial there to let you know a little bit more about PAC. So I am Jess Zelmer. I am a board member with PAC, and I'm super excited to have you all here and to also have Jamie, our presenter, here today. If you are PAC certified, today's course is eligible for 1 CEU credit. I will be giving the CEU code at the end of the presentation, so stay tuned for that. Again, as I mentioned, we're thrilled that Jamie has agreed to do this. We kind of threw this one together actually because we thought it was so timely with what's going on in the world, and hopefully the big transition that is getting ready to happen now that the vaccination process has gotten started in a couple of countries. So we're just thrilled that she was able to join us on such short notice. So thank you, Jamie, so much for your flexibility on that. Before we get started, I do just want to mention a little bit about PAC. For those of you that may not be familiar, we are the Professional Animal Care Certification Council. A lot of people will ask, what makes PAC different from other certifications that you can receive in the industry? And really what makes PAC different is the fact that we are third-party certification. We are an independent certification. This certification reflects an individual's knowledge, that you have gained while working in the profession. It's a 3-year certification that does require CEUs, so that's why you'll see a lot of our certified providers on these free webinars. It's a great way to get certification. So there is a difference between PAC and really any other certificate program out there, because PAC is the only one in the world of dog daycare and boarding that offers a third-party certification versus a certificate program. And that is the big difference. What are the big differences between these two things? Here's a great list that explains the differences between certificate programs that you might go through in the pet care industry and a third-party certification, which is what PAC is. Now, let me be clear. We at PAC think that any type of education that you can get, whether it's a certificate program, a PAC certification, self-study that you do on your own, that is all fantastic for you, for the pets, for employers, for employees. So this in no way degrades any other educational programs or self-study that you might do. But many people do ask, what is third-party certification and how is it different than other things that I've completed? If you want to get certified with PAC, you have to have some professional experience. You can't just decide that you want to leave your job in marketing or in retail, sit down, take your PAC exam, and be ready to go. It does require some professional experience, and that professional experience, the number of hours, depends on the PAC exam that you're going to take. There are 3 levels for the PAC exam: provider, manager, and an owner exam. It's awarded by a third party, and what that means is that we don't sell any materials, we don't endorse any study materials. You gain your knowledge, very similar to how a nurse or an accountant would earn their education. They can get their education through whatever resources they like. And then at the end, they sit down and they take a third-party exam to get certified. And so that's what really where the big difference is with PAC, is we're not selling or endorsing any study material. We do make recommendations on study material from things that were used to create the exam, but we don't actually sell any of the materials. And it also has an ongoing requirement, is another big difference between a certificate program and a third-party certification. Once you get PAC certified, you do have to maintain that knowledge through a CEU program. Why is PAC important to your business? And this is our last slide, and then we're going to get to the main event here. PAC is important to your business because it's about taking our industry to the next level. Most professions require an independent certification. This is something new for boarding and daycare. We haven't had one until PAC, and so it really is about taking our industry and your business and your own personal education to another level. There's no question that boarding and daycare is an increasingly competitive market with increasingly knowledgeable pet parents, I believe. And so this really helps you to maintain your edge and separate yourself from everybody else in town or a lot of your competition in town. Getting a employee PAC certified, it's going to give you that confidence that your employees have that knowledge and skills to keep pets safe while in your care. It's a documented commitment to excellence, safety, and continuing education. If you have a pet care business and you get certified or you have certificate holders, Jamie, you say no audio. Can you hear me? Jamie?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Okay, good. Maybe that was from earlier. Sorry about that. Yeah, and just to finish up here, if you are a pet care business owner, kennel owner, trainer, pet sitter, whatever it is, it gives you the potential to recruit higher quality employees as well. It can really show your team that you are dedicated, that you take your business very seriously, and it just creates a higher quality of employee. And if you're joining us as an employee or a team member, is definitely something to consider to advance your career in pet care, whether you see that career being 2 years, 3 years, or indefinite. It's a great way to separate yourself from the pack if you really want to dive into pet care. If you have more questions about PAC, feel free to visit our website. It is paccert.org. I'm going to put that in the chat box, paccert.org. Our next exam dates have been announced just recently, our first one being in March. If you decide that you're interested in taking the PAC exam or even considering taking the PAC exam, join one of our Facebook study groups. See what it is all about for you. You don't have to be registered for the exam to join a study group. You can just go on Facebook, type in PAC Provider Exam Study Group, and it will take you right to it, and you can see what it's all about, and also join other people who are considering the same thing or actively studying for their exam. Okay, so now I am super thrilled to introduce Jamie Ingerdal. She is a certified pet trainer from Canada and has graciously agreed to give this presentation. She also recently just joined the board at PAC, and we are so excited to have her expertise join us to make PAC even stronger in the coming years. So Jamie, I am going to pass the presentation over to you. Okay, I can see your screen and I can hear you.
Awesome, excellent, good. Well, thank you very much for the introduction. Hi, everyone. I'm so glad that you're here and joining us for this awesome presentation. I'm pretty sure I can talk about this subject for days and days and days, but I'll only hopefully take a short time of your day today. Thanks for the introduction. I am a certified PAC provider since 2018. I was so excited when Stephanie from Pawn Order out in New Brunswick had talked about it with me, and I never knew it even existed. And it's something that I've been looking for many, many years to have and to bring to kind of, more people. And so I was very excited to become a part of that. So I got certified in 2018. And last year I was the moderator for the study group, and I've had so much fun with it over the year. And then this coming year, I'm really, really stoked about being on the board and looking forward to learning and bringing new things as well. I am the owner of Kinder Canine Coaching. I just recently moved to Winnipeg, Manitoba with my husband. So things have been a little bit different this year, as I'm sure the same for many of you, whether you've moved or not. This whole COVID thing has really made this year a struggle for many of us. I've been training specifically since about 2002. I actually started off in the medical, the veterinary profession, and a lot of fostering and shelter work and all of that. And then I really put my hobby of a trainer before that, I put it to certification in 2002, and I was really excited to get that started and work that. So that's what I've been mostly focused on throughout the years, is that. I've been getting a lot of messages from you, so I just wanted to do a quick shout out to those that I know are on the call and you've been messaging me. Thanks for the messages. I'm really excited that you're here, and I'm glad that you can join us today. And I hope that you enjoy this topic as much as I do. So our topic today is decompression in both pets and professionals. So most of my talk today is kind of generated more to pets. That's where I'm definitely a lot more happy to talk about, and I have a lot more knowledge in that. But also, we always forget about the professionals, and the animal care industry, as we know, is a tough industry to be in, both mentally and physically. So I think this is a perfect timing with COVID and everything we've been dealing with this year to ensure that our professionals are well taken care of as well. So that's kind of what our topic is on today. So just a little bit about me. I'm just going to put this in the slideshow. Bear with me, I'm working with a new computer, so I'm just working my way through it. So hopefully not too many glitches. So for those that don't know me, a little bit about me, I actually celebrated our 25th anniversary with my husband just on the 11th year. So that was really exciting, although we couldn't do anything and we're both food lovers. So normally we spend our night out at the restaurant and just eat and eat, eat and eat. This year we didn't do that, so we did it at home. We had a little date night at home. And right now we just have 2 dogs and 2 cats in our house. That's our family, our little mini family there. Our 2 adults, our children, have moved out and they've started their own careers and their own education and different things. So it's been an adjustment the past 2 years since they've all moved out. This year will be our first Christmas with no kids in the house at all. Last year I was graced with at least having the grandchildren for Christmas. This year, unfortunately, with COVID, we won't be able to spend our holiday together, but that's okay. We will have lots of Zoom meetings, I'm sure. By January 1st, they'll be sick of me trying to get them on video. We're a Canadian military family, so my husband's in the military. We move a lot. We were actually in New Brunswick for 9 years, which was our longest posting. And we just moved to Winnipeg, so I'm not quite sure how long we'll be here, perhaps maybe only a year. So lots of things are going to be changing in our year as well. So in the pictures, you'll see our 2 dogs, Maya and Molly. Maya is 8 years old, and she just got diagnosed with epilepsy. And she's otherwise healthy and doing very good, but our days are looking much different now than they were, you know, a few months ago. And that happens when we have seniors, and that's fine. And Molly is I call her our brat face hooligan. She just turned 6 in the summer, and she's our social butterfly. She just loves life, and she brings life into our family. We do have 2 cats. You often won't see them on too many pictures or videos, simply because they usually only come out at night, but they love the dogs. They think they're dogs, and they all get along really well. And they're just a blessing to have. Now that there's no kids in the house, these guys really take up all of my time. They're really sweet. So again, we could talk about animals all day long. I could talk about these guys, but let's get started. So one of the most important and often overlooked topics of the animal care industry is decompression. And I've been talking about this topic for many years. It's one of my most favorite, like I said, topics, simply because it's so often overlooked and misunderstood, and people don't really know how to put that in the animal care industry. Finding different ways to make both pets and professionals feel comfortable from day to day, and even when they go home and we're working with our own animals or our own children or our own families. So this topic is very dear to me, for sure. And hopefully you will leave the session today learning a little bit more about what you can do to make your pets, both either professionally or personally, better every day, and as well yourselves. So what is decompression? Well, it is the removal of pressure. It's taking something that we're having struggles with, or even overexcitement, or just any kind of emotion, and just taking that pressure of that emotion away. It's creating strategies used to practice self-calm. We're in an industry where we know that it's a go, go, go system. And finding that time to just take a breath and settle down and just be able to come back to kind of a reality can be very, very hard in the animal industry. So finding a quiet and safe environment just to relax and decompress. The ability to disconnect. So being able to take, you know, a sad situation, a hard situation, and be able to move on and be able to recover from that. The ability to disconnect from technology, the ability to disconnect from work versus home and home versus work. And most importantly, and especially this is more for the pets, I guess, but also still very important for the human, but the ability to feel in control. Because as soon as we feel out of control, everything spirals from there. And then think of the pet. If they have no choices in anything, if they just feel like it's just pressure, 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 and they have no control to release that, it only gets worse from there. Of course, decompression will look different in every pet and professional, and that may require one or more strategies for success. Every person and every pet, being from a bird to a cat to a monkey to a pig or a sheep, they're all going to decompress and they're all going to take stresses so differently. So that's really important to understand that. We know as professionals in the daycare system that the 2.0 or elite style that we talk about, you often hear professionals talking about the elite program or the daycare 2.0, and the difference between it is it's taking away from the traditional daycare of just free play all day to actually putting physical and mental strategies into place every day so that the dogs and the humans actually have a lot of rest periods. And we know that this works. We've tried it out for years, and it provides the right mix of rest and play that is incredibly crucial. So now let's take this kind of system and put it in every single system of the animal care industry. So from the veterinary to the groomers to a dog walker and a trainer to the classroom to our home life with our own pets and our own families. So it's so important that we make these same adjustments if we want to see a change. Transitioning for pets. So for me, this is crucial because this is something, again, a topic that's not actually talked about a lot, whether we're in rescue work, whether we're in a daycare, a hospital setting. It's just really not talked about. You know, there are some protocols and procedures that we do that will make, you know, the transition for pets much easier, but I don't think it's a highlight. It's just something we do, but we don't always understand why we do it. So understanding all these little transitions for pets and for the humans as well, how important that is going to be crucial in our long-term growth and goals for having a dog or a human that is actually comfortable with all of these changes and different things that are going on. So of course, puppies, I mean, they typically overcome change so quickly, but that doesn't mean that just because they're happy-go-lucky that something that was negative happened or something that they might hold on to, so changing homes or, you know, going to a daycare facility right away and they got introduced to, you know, loud, big, fast dogs isn't going to hinder them in the long run. So it's still important, even though they can overcome change very quickly, are we giving them the right changes and the transitions in their lives? So making sure that when puppies come into a daycare or a vet or a grooming, that we're not just overloading them with too much pressure, and that they're happy and they're content and they're okay and they're growing in behavior. And older dogs, we could see a self-protection mode in behaviors for several weeks. So people that work with the shelter dogs or, you know, pet trainers that we work with, aggressive dogs or, you know, over-aroused dogs, we see a huge difference in working with puppies and in older dogs. I specialize in aggression. And one of the most important things that I always recommend right away for a dog that is outbursting, and I don't agree, aggression is, you know, aggression means so many things. So for every dog, it means so many different things. So my job is to teach you what your dog is essentially saying to you and come up with a goal specific for that dog. So again, no two dogs and no two people are going to be the same. Every situation is different, but being able to recognize when the dog needs help or is seeking help or is, you know, showing behaviors that are obviously not normal, we want to help them out. So transitioning for pets can be, again, every dog is different, every situation is going to be different, but normally we say a 2 to 4 week is key for a smooth transition. So during those 2 to 4 weeks, we don't want to overload the animal with too much change and too much pressure of new things or different things. And in every situation, it's going to look different. For one situation, you know, if you're a foster family, you don't want to be taking out, you know, that 3-year-old dog that just come to your house and going to the pet store. We don't want you taking that new adopted dog that's had 3 litters and, you know, putting them in a group of, you know, 30 because they've had lots of litters. Oh, they must be great with other dogs. Well, they might only want 1 friend. They might not want 30 friends. So it's really important in those 2 to 4 weeks that we take that time for resting and earning trust and getting trust both ways, but also getting to know each other and creating this communication and this relationship with the pet or the human, to be able to, you know, that 4 weeks is up and everything's going great and we start adding a bit of pressure. We go to a new environment, we add people into the home, things are changing, that both of us are able to overcome that and do that smoothly. So that's kind of the purpose of that 2 to 4 week goal that we kind of recommend, is really to get to know each other. Dogs really, we call it, they have a honeymoon period, and we call that 30-day honeymoon period, simply because in those 30 days, it's really the dog adjusting its own behavior to its environment. And you may not always get to see what that true behavior is going to look like until after that honeymoon period is over. So this is the time where we want to create boundaries and routines and goals and long-term growth and learning and just time and patience is so important. And then we can start introducing them to new environments such as the vet hospital, boarding, daycare, you know, professionals coming into the home, anything that kind of is the needs for the animal. Christmas is coming up pretty soon, so we may have people that are coming into our homes that the animal hasn't seen yet, or we may be taking them to places they haven't seen yet, like a boarding facility or something like that. I know most of us can't do anything for Christmas, but some of us are able to. So we have to keep that in mind this year, because the stress levels of this year are definitely, I think, far exceed any stress levels we've ever experienced in the past, you know, past years. Cats and other pets, so birds, fish, farm animals, all of that, they may take a little longer to change, just simply because they're not as domesticated as, I mean, cats are, but other animals aren't as domesticated as our typical cats and dogs. And often we forget about their needs as well. So it's very important, no matter what animal we're dealing with, that we have them in our mindset of that decompression, and that rest is very important for all parties. So one of the first important things that you're going to create for this decompression or this rest period is a safe space. And again, this is going to look different for every dog, every cat, every bird. Funny story, we fostered 3 parrots, and they came from a hoarder's house. And so they never knew what a cage was. They had no idea what a cage was. They lived with hundreds of other animals in this small space, and they were free to do whatever the heck they wanted. So I was the foster parent that hindered their entire freedom. I was the big meanie and the big bully that ruined their lives, because we introduced them to a cage, a bird cage, and they absolutely wanted nothing to do with that. So literally for about 30 days, I mean, I didn't time it, but it was roughly about 30 days. Every day that I went into their room that I created for them, I actually had to duck giving them their food and their water, because one of the parrots, who was the most angry with me, would literally pick it up and launch it back at me to say, I don't want you. I don't want your food and your bait, and I don't want anything to do with you. Just leave us alone. Let us sulk in silence, kind of thing. So it took about 30 days for him to finally stop throwing the food dishes at me when I entered the room. And it took a long time for me to be able to hold them, to touch them, to clip their nails. We had them, I think, for almost half a year, if not a little bit longer. We had them for quite a while. Anyways, and you know, about that second month, they started coming around. They were happy. They were understanding. There was a bit of a routine put in place that they could have freedom, and they could make choices, and they can have interactions, and we could work together. And it was an incredible thing to experience. It was awesome. But definitely it took me a while to earn their trust of, are you still going to throw the dish at me when I entered the room? And I learned very quickly too to not use glass bowls and to use just plastic ones. So that's my funny foster story. But every animal, it takes time. So you want to create a space. That's really, really important. This allows the pet to feel like they're in control of their own emotions. It just gives them that place to take in everything. So if we're thinking about a boarding facility, you know, that pet has never been there before, give them that space. So whether it be the office with a human or one other dog, if it works for them, or just their own room, just to take in, there's so many smells and sounds, just giving them that space is so awesome. So the ability to process any positive connections with the environment and stimulus. So if everything's scared for them right off the get-go and there's no positive stimulus, that's going to be really hard to, you know, for long-term growth to make any progress for calm and assurance. They're going to associate any unpleasant experience with that of comfort, affection, and something good, such as food as toys. So think about going to the vet. If they get a cookie every time they go to the vet, right before they get on the weight scale, or before the vet comes in and gives them a cookie, they're going to make those connections that, oh, okay, the scary new place isn't so scary because now I can associate that unpleasant experience with comfort, affection, and something good, something that I like. Okay. So creating that first, that safe space is your first goal in your business. So whether or not you're the owner, a pet care provider, or your own pets, or a foster. So bringing a new addition home, whether it is a new pet, a new foster, an old rescue, it's so important, like I said, that they have time to decompress. You've created that room. What is your overall goal, and what does that look like? So when you decide to become a foster family, what room are you going to use? What space it doesn't have to be a room, but what space are you going to use in your house that allows the dog to just go and hang out and take everything new that was once overwhelming in to be less overwhelming? So a pet safe room, a crate, a mat. And I recommend taking, you know, if you choose a mat or whatnot, like don't put it in the middle of the living room, put it at the side, put it in another room where the dog can just go hang out. We moved from New Brunswick to Winnipeg, and the girls, they've never moved before. We adopted them in New Brunswick, where the boys that we had, they moved with us all over the place, and they were quite easy in transition. Although Jack had separation anxiety really bad, I had to have a system every time we moved for him to have him successful. Yoda didn't care much about anything, but the girls, they've never moved before. This was their first move, so it was a really big deal. And so having something that came with us that was familiar, such as a crate or their bed, a blanket, that was really important for them in the transitions from each hotel. Things were the same. We were together. It was a big deal for them. So having things in plan, to know what I was going to do before we move, before you bring a new animal into your home, that's really, really important for the long-term growth for all of you. So welcome home. You've got your foster, you've got your new dog. So welcome home also can mean at a boarding facility, because that's going to be their home for, you know, a few weeks or a few days. So this is for all of that, right? Creating that space that the dog can retreat to. So I always talk about, you know, when they're first arriving, but I am always a prevention versus reaction, and that is how I always plan everything. I'm a huge planner, and I'm a huge long-term planner. So with that statement, I mean, where is this space going to be that, you bring that puppy home that's 6 months old or 6 weeks old, long term, when they become 6 years old, where are they going to retreat? And if you move, how do they know where to go and where to retreat to? If you have neighbors come over, the doorbell rings and that upsets them or gets them aroused, do they know where to go? So creating that long term, short term, but also most important, the long term goals of what your expectations are. And then how can we help them overcome that stress so much faster? And stress, again, just to point out, in case you don't know, stress doesn't always mean bad. It can be anything. Having your best buddy come over is stressful because it's exciting. So it doesn't necessarily mean that stress is bad. So when I use the term stress, I don't necessarily mean that it's something negative. It just means that it's an arousal. It's your body and emotions are changing. So the space that you do create should include all of the things that the pet would need. So food supplies, litter, bowls, toys, enrichments. I mean, the idea is that they rest, so you don't want to, encourage a whole lot of playing and stuff like that. But of course, if you're gone for 4 hours, the dog might want to play with something. The cat might want to have something to interact with. The birds might want some sort of, way to use their beak. So you want to create space for them that includes all of the things they might need while you're gone, or even while you're with them as well. Ensure the space is inviting and quiet. So like I had mentioned already before, you don't want to put a crate in the middle of a family room or, at the front door or the back door. You want it to be somewhere where it's quiet and calm. It's really inviting, and it's a place for them to just go chill out. And every animal's gonna be different in what they choose. So I mean, heck, if your dog chooses the middle of the living room and that's their comfort space, then that's their comfort space. Ideally, that's not normally where they would choose. They would choose kind of beside the couch or somewhere off against a wall or something like that. But there are, I've encountered it every once in a while. You get that one animal that defies all the odds. Jack, who we rescued actually straight out of the woods, he was about a year old when we brought him into our home. The goal wasn't that he was going to get adopted out. We weren't going to keep him, but all of his family members had passed away, unfortunately, on rescue, so he was the only survivor. And I actually let him choose where he wanted to have the crate. He's never seen a crate before, and I wanted to crate train him, so it was this very slow process. But anyways, he chose the weirdest places for his crate, and every time we moved, we did the same thing because he had anxiety. And it was funny watching him try to select his favorite spot in the house, and it was funny. Unfortunately, all the videos and stuff that I had of him, we lost in our computer broke down, and I didn't save the files, of course, and so I lost all of that. But it was awesome to witness and see. You want to establish a great healthy routine for resting, and you want this activity to be something that, for me, it's like my first most important thing. So when we moved to Winnipeg, my most important thing on the move in the hotels was rest. I wanted them right away, as soon as we entered the hotel, to go lay down on their mat and hang out. Of course, after they sniffed the whole place first, but that was our first activity, was to just, take in all the car sounds, they're from the country, so they weren't used to all the city sounds. So take in everything, and then we'll go for a walk, or then we'll play a game, or then we'll do something, then we'll eat a meal, that sort of thing. So establishing that right away, so that when we got to the next hotel the next day, the first thing they started doing, they started getting into this routine that, every time we hit the hotel, I should go relax, let mom and dad unload the car, let them do all these things, take in all the sounds, the smells. And then it just became this routine, so that by day 3, I didn't even have to tell them. It was just something that they did, so that if somebody walked by the patio window, they weren't barking, and they weren't excited or aroused, and they were like, oh no, it's rest time, so I should go rest. When mom needs me, she'll come get me. Always allow the pet to come to you. So thinking of a boarding facility or a new foster or a new puppy that's coming into your house, they're going to be all over the place. Their emotions are crazy. They might not be overly enthused about you. You standing tall, my husband's 6'1", him standing up is very, it's scary for some animals. It's interpreted totally different in the animal world. So having him sit on the ground or lay on the ground, it provides him to be more inviting, and all the animals love him. So it takes, very little time to get to know him and feel, even though he's this big monstrous guy and he's kind of scary at first glance, he's, putty in my hands. I can get this guy to do almost anything for me. So always knowing kind of where to put your body and how to interact, that's really important as well. That's going to take away some of the stress. Start off walks with just like a potty break or, a little venture in the yard. So when we went to the hotels, we didn't go for a 10K walk. As soon as we got to the hotel, we let them sniff the hotel. They went for a rest. Then we'd go out for a pee. We'd walk around the hotel a little bit, depending on the comfortability. So Molly, of course, overcame these things much faster than Maya did. Maya, for the first little bit, went out to go eliminate. She went and wanted right back in the hotel because that was safety, or she wanted in the car because that was second safety. Where Molly was like, oh, let's go. So Molly, of course, went on way more adventures than Maya did, simply because she was ready for that. So every dog is going to be different, but it's really crucial that you're looking for those behaviors. You're looking for, okay, are they ready for more or do they need less? Okay, so welcoming home, that's very important. Welcome to the veterinary hospital. So now I've kind of made little slideshows of all of the animal industry. And the first one that I chose was the veterinary hospital. Even though it may not be maybe your first visit with your pet, I highly recommend it to be, even if it's not for, an appointment, but just to go and visit. We never actually think about decompression. And when I went through the veterinary school and the program, it was actually never talked about how we can make decompression and a stress-free environment. I mean, it's talked about now, but it wasn't talked about then. And I found that very odd. Like the first thing I want to do with my dog is actually go to the vet a few times before we actually go for an appointment, and simply just for earning trust, right? So not only do we have to earn the trust from the dogs, but the dogs have to earn the trust from us. So it works both ways. And if the first few visits are really scary for them, well, you have a long-term dog that's gonna not like going to the vet for life, which is not the relationship that you want, especially if there's an emergency, your yearly checkups. Maya's hit 8 now, so she's in the every 6-month category now, simply because her body's changing a lot faster than a young adult. So she's going to have far more vet visits. I want those experiences to be as pleasurable as they possibly can be. And it's still going to be stressful for her, but I want that to not be, so scary that she just can't do it, or that we need a lot of restraint, or really need a lot of tools. Not that those are bad things, but if we have to use all of those every time, that will make the next visit a lot more difficult. So we never think about decompression in the hospital. And if you're bringing home a new pet, I feel like going to the vet office just for a cookie, a little visit, a hello, something positive, a quick in and out, that's going to make your visits when they are stressful, such as vaccines and blood work and different things, a nail trim even, so much easier for them to overcome. So stop in for a cookie. I'll call ahead. I mean, since we moved to Winnipeg, we're in the red zone, and we've been in the red zone since we've been here. So we haven't really been able to do a whole lot, but we have been to the vet already. And simply, I just called him and said, hey, like, could you just walk my dog around your office for, a minute or two and then bring him out to me? Just simply so that when they have to go, it's not this, oh my God, I've never been here before. And now I'm getting blood work, I'm getting x-ray, I'm getting tests, I'm getting a cast on my leg, I'm getting a nail trim. All these things are scary. I have no choices in anything, and I don't want to go back. So it's really important for that. I couldn't stress that enough. So no matter how old your dog is, puppy, adult, foster, get them to the vet as much as you can before their actual vet appointment. I know sometimes that is hard. So if you can't do that, and I know COVID times make that even more difficult, there's definitely little things that we can do as a professional in the vet industry or as the pet parent going to the vet hospital that we can do to decompress them on each visit. So such as asking for a room that is quiet, offering a blanket, offering, you know, the dog's scared to go on the table, offer to do the check or the appointment on the floor. So just recognizing stress signals, you know, do they like cookies? Do they like food? Do they like toys? You know, maybe have a little play tug session, you know, right before the vet comes in or right after the vet comes in, because dogs will make all those connections. Oh, before the scary thing comes in, I get to play. After the scary thing leaves, I get to play. So if I can just hold on through the scary moment just a little longer, I'll get to the good thing. Those are really good connections to make with your pet at the vet. I know in Ormukto, they had at the Ormukto Veterinary Hospital, they had a space designated specifically for cats so that the dogs wouldn't pile there and you'd have a mix of animals and the cats are scared, or rats or rabbits as well. They did a lot of rabbits and birds so that the dogs weren't scaring them, and they had their own little section for that. And I really like that. It took the stress of those other animals away very quickly and allowed them to just kind of take in everything that was scary without being bombarded with a nose in the crate or you know, passing by and hearing barking and stuff like that. So that was nice, a nice space that they created for that. So welcome to the boarding daycare facility. So allow the pet to rest in a small, quiet space on arrival. We've kind of talked about all these things already, and it really from one system flows into the next. Introduce humans first, maybe with the exception of the dog wanting another dog with them for an easier transition. Every animal's different. Walk around the facility on leash for safari before you introduce them to a group of dogs. Introduce to smaller groups, you know, for several visits before introducing them to larger groups. Allow space when passing other animals. So I often recommend always have a human in between each dog while you're passing, you know, at least for the first time or, you know, the first few times that the dog's ever been there, simply because you're telling the dog, okay, there's a buffer zone and I can help you if you need help, rather than the two dogs just passing each other and we hope for the best. Again, allowing the pet to come to you. You may need to sit or lie down again to be inviting. Again, they're in a new room, they're in a new space. There's so many smells and sounds. The daycare and boarding facility, as most of you who are on this call are more familiar with this part of the industry than the rest, but you know that this is super important, that when a dog is coming to your facility for the very first time, they're going to be really stressed out. They may still be excited, but they're still stressed out. So if we put too much on their plate, it's going to be a hard adjustment for them. It's going to be hard. And even thinking about those dogs that are like super excited, if we keep them at an excited level the entire time they're at daycare, guess what happens every time they come to daycare? They're always at an excited level, and another dog may not appreciate that level of excitement. So rest, again, coming into a new facility or daycare is super, super, super important. I already talked about the elite and the 2.0 and the mesh between rest and play is super important. So I won't talk about that again, but that's really important again in the daycare boarding facility. This was Maya's first time at Paw and Order, and let me tell you, the staff out there are tremendously amazing. Of course, as a pet parent, I was stressed out because she's never been to this is just not her style. This is Molly's style. This is not my style. And I needed to bring her, and I probably should have brought her a lot sooner and a lot younger in her years, but it wasn't her thing. So I never wanted to put that pressure on her. And the transition for her, and look at how happy she is. This is a girl that is literally scared about life. She's a very anxious girl. Sounds, smells, everything, change. It's hard for her. And she was so happy. This was her very first day there, and the staff were just tremendous with her. They took their time, and they were there. Words can't describe, of course, as you know, as a pet parent, you're entrusting your animal's life with a professional that you may not know. So it's really important that you feel comfortable with them so that you can have this result. So I love this picture.
Jamie, there was a question that related to that slide. When you suggest rest in a small, quiet place upon arrival, do you have any recommendation for the amount of time?
No, actually, every dog and every animal is going to be so different. So I would really tailor that to them. Are they showing signs that they're eager to eat? A dog that's not wanting to eat probably doesn't want to go into a group setting. I mean, but then again, maybe it does. Maybe that's what they need to get them to eat, is a little bit of play. So it really comes down to the assessment of that specific animal and that specific time period. So I mean, a few hours is probably great for most dogs that are really social or that have been to other daycares before or other, facilities before, they're a bit more trained in a sense. They might have an easier time. So an hour, 30 minutes might be all they need. But for another dog, or cat, they might need days. So that just really depends. I love the systems of, if you have that place in the facility where the dog can just go in and decompress and just hang out, and you come in and out and you're assessing every visit that you have with them. Did they eat? Did they drink? How often have they eliminated? How comfortable are they every time you take them out of the room and go for an elimination? Are they eager to, meet the dogs that they hear around them? Are they eager to interact with the humans? Are they eager to go into another section of the facility? If that's a yes, then I mean, your decompression time could be pretty short. But I would still recommend several all through that time period. Even if they are dogs that have been there for 10 years and they know the routine, you will already see those dogs meditating themselves. They'll go self-rest themselves. They'll go play, they'll go rest. Those are the dogs that you don't really need to, do too much with, because they're already doing it themselves. That's the whole purpose of dogs that are new, that are coming to you, is that you want to create that same self-care system. You want them to start doing that on their own. But many, many, many animals do not know how to do that. So that's where it's really important that we do. So time frame, it really is dependent on each individual animal. And hopefully that helps answer that question.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome. So welcome to the groomer. I know we're almost up on our hour, so I'll kind of go through these last slides here really quickly. Going to the groomer, some groomers come to your home, or you're going to a facility or a building. Some only take one at a time. Some take several. I know others have a daycare that's kind of implemented into the grooming. So they have all their appointments for the day, and then they set a little daycare. So then when they're waiting for grooming or they're done grooming, they get to go play after that. So every facility is going to be different. Some you can go to like PetSmart or Petco, and they have several groomers working at the same time. You want to create an area where the pet feels the most comfortable and has enough space between them and the next, groomer or animal. You don't want them to be, bum to bum, essentially. That's very stressful. You want to be able to, again, assess, does the pet do better on the table or on the floor? Senior dogs might not be able to get up and down anymore. So creating and taking away those little stresses are going to make the grooming visits so much better. You may have to visit the groomer several times before you actually groom the animal. That's really important. This is Hope. She's my 7-year-old little kitty. She has hydrocephalus, so she's got, it's called water on the brain. So she's a little bit of a wobbly girl. So she just had a bath. She gets a lot of mats, unfortunately, because she can't groom herself very well. Her sister tries to help, but she just makes it much worse. So she gets a lot of baths simply just to help with the brushing process. And she absolutely loves it, as you can see. She's a pretty happy girl. But it's really important that every time I bathe her, and before that, I created little routines that were really good for her, so that it wasn't stressful, since I knew I would have to be doing this her whole life and several times, that I don't want every bath to be stressful for her. So she absolutely loves the bath. A great thing that you can look up, we won't have time, this could be a whole nother webinar all on its own, is practicing T-Touch, which is from Tellington Touch. Linda Tellington created it. I learned it back in 2006, and since then I've absolutely loved it, and it's been something that I do on every animal that I foster or I work with. I love it. So if you don't know what it is, go and Google it right now, and it's just called T-Touch or Tellington Touch. Doing nose to tails exercises. This can help prepare your animals for a grooming visit as well, or a vet visit as well. So those are things that I would recommend to making the groomer visit much better, even if they come to your home. That's really important for that. So welcome the trainer and dog walker. Again, we don't think of decompression when it comes to this situation, but this is huge. Whether it's in a classroom or it's one-on-one, you always want to make sure that you're going at the dog's pace. They're just meeting you for the very first time, and you have all these expectations. The parents have expectations, and often we just get in there and we just do it. We just force the dog to do so many things, and that couldn't be the more worst thing to do. We really need to take classroom management and one-on-one management really seriously. Our bite stats for trainers or dog walkers or just working one-on-one, just working with dogs in general, our bite stats are so high. So we need to come up with plans to reduce those numbers for sure. And this is kind of where it starts. So always being able to watch for stress signals is super, super important. As a dog walker, always have the dog come to you. Have smaller groups of dogs. Always constantly doing assessments in your dogs, because what yesterday was may not be what today is. Apply patience, and so much patience, especially if your goal is to, walk into a strange person's house and put on a harness or a tool that the dog has no trust for you. You're going to get bit if you're not assessing the dog's abilities and comfort levels. Dogs learn per square inch, so that's really important that you expand their knowledge at their ability. And what I mean by that, if you taught sit at home, they might not generalize that same behavior downtown, with tons of cars and tons of people. So it's really important that they learn to generalize per square inch, per every environment that you want them to be in. You want to teach them the exact same thing, and you're going to repeat that until it becomes second nature to them. And then every time you go into a new environment, it makes that life so much easier. So as a dog walker or trainer, it makes your next visits so much better if each visit is smaller in doses of what pressure you're putting on them. So on here, I have smaller expansions to a walk or any activity. So it just means that your transitions long-term are going to be far better if you take a slower approach to it versus trying to get everything done in that hour. It's going to lessen any regression. So we don't have a dog that does good for 6 months and then all of a sudden on 7 months, he's no different than he was 7 months ago when we first started working with them. It's going to lessen fear aggression, lessen the arousal. So again, that excitement, the, whatever emotion you want to put on that. And then the over threshold behaviors. We always want to keep the dog at threshold or below. So that's really important. So assessments for dog trainers and walkers are super, super important when working with another dog. So again, we don't talk about decompression in this part of the industry, but it is absolutely crucial in any environment that you work with a dog, whether it be in their own home, in the classroom, or outside. So just keeping in mind those decompression, those little tips that you can do to just keep the pressure off the animal. Changes to the family dynamics and travel. So introducing a new pet to the family. This is stressful for everybody involved, the humans, the already resident animals. When I did a lot of fostering, Maya was definitely my outcast. She was the dog that wasn't comfortable with the animals coming into the home unless it was cats. She's a cat girl. I think she thinks she's secretly a cat. But it's important that I recognized her needs and that she didn't want to be bombarded with all these foster animals and that she had a place to go if she wanted to retreat to. But I also wanted to ensure that her routine didn't change. She still had the same routine. I didn't forget about her. She was still allowed to be a part of everything. Of course, her behavior mandated what she was allowed to be a part of and what she wasn't allowed, but it was her choice what she wanted to do. So that was really important that I didn't change her routine. I want them to be a part of everything so long as they can, and so long as it's safe to do so. And again, that 30 days or more to feel comfortable, take that into any animal industry. So the vets, so for 30 days, if your dog hasn't been there for, 6 years, you're going to be starting back from scratch on being comfortable. They're going to hesitate if they haven't been there for a lot longer. So just take in mind that 30 days is the average for a dog to adjust to any changes. 30 days is a long time. Traveling with pets. This is really important. Again, I've talked about this, and I actually did an anagram of travel. So time, rest, absorb. I want them to absorb their environment. Value, what's value to them? Watching for their emotions, and a leash. We recommend anytime working with an animal, especially a dog, a cat to be crated for sure, and other animals to be crated, birds, little pets, exotic pets, that sort of thing. But for dogs, to have a 2-leash system. So if you're a dog walker, you're working at the vet and you're taking the dog out of their normal environment to and from a car, you're transporting, you're doing different things, have 2 leashes, have them in a crate if they're small enough to carry. This is when dogs take the most opportunity to flight, is to go from car to car, or car to building, or building to car, building to whatever. So this is where, and you hear it on the news all the time, dog ran away from the airplane, got loose, he's running around the airport. Dogs are always, especially if they're in a stressful mindset, they're always looking for flight opportunity. So having that assessment and having the travel, I just call it my travel, is going through all of those lists of things. Is my pet ready for that travel? So these are these little tips that you can use to make your transition and traveling and introducing a new pet so much easier. So let's talk a little bit about humans. So COVID stress and holiday stress. Again, this has been a year unlike any others, and we often forget about ourselves. We always forget about ourselves. Let's be honest here. I want you to take a moment after this call and really digest everything that you do in a day, because you do a lot. And especially if you work in the animal care industry, it doesn't matter what industry you work in, you are working overtime. You are working hard. You may only be working for 4 hours, but those 4 hours you were engaged, you were motivated, and you were working at full capacity. Your brain and your body need time to relax, and you must allow yourself to give you that time, because if not, again, it only, just like the animal, it only gets worse from here. So being able to create a routine or a business plan, a business goal, you know, getting certified, doing something, you're on some downtime, maybe you're not working right now because you're in a zone that doesn't allow you to work. What are you doing to improve yourself? To re-energize yourself, take time. Nutrition and exercise, of course, this is very, very important, that nutrition and exercise play a huge role in our overall health. It's really, really important that we take the time to make sure that we're eating enough. I'm really bad at not drinking and intaking a lot of water. So I've been working really hard on that for the last year. And of course, that makes my life and my body so much better as well. So what is it that you need? Where is it that you can take it and implement it, and put yourself first? We have to start putting ourselves first, because if we don't, life is just going to get really, really hard. The animal care industry is tough mentally and physically. And again, it doesn't matter what part of the industry you work in, it's all very stressful. You have living souls that you're taking care of, and it's important that you take care of you too, so that we can give those living souls the best care as well. So I just came up with 7 of my favorite decompression strategies. This is something I've done for many, many years. Sometimes I forget to do them myself, so I have to go back to my 7 strategies and say, okay, which one haven't I done in a while, and I got to start implementing that. So things like meditation, yoga, breathing exercises. I was actually in a car accident in 2008, and this is where I learned how to do deep breathing techniques, just to push up physical pain. And let me tell you, I've been doing them ever since, and it's helped in so many fashions of my life. And so breathing exercises have done a wonder for my decompression. Disconnect from electronics, especially now we're having so many Zoom calls and webinars and different things. Disconnect for them. Give yourself just time. Go read a book. Go do something else, and just kind of be in your own brain for a little bit. A long hot bath or a shower. I love bubble baths. That is definitely my go-to thing. Talk about it with somebody you trust. I have two really good friends. I've got many people in the professional side of things as well. We chat all the time. We talk about the good things and we talk about the bad things. If you don't, they will haunt you for life. Talk about things. It really is important to talk. Sleep. Sleep is so important for our immune system. And I'm bad for this, I go to bed really, really late, but that also means that I wake up really, really early or really late as well. I'm not an early person at all. So it's important though that I sleep and that I get the right amount of sleep for my body and what it needs. Nutrition as well. Make sure that you're growing yourself and developing yourself physically and mentally every day. So nourish your body with good things. And patience, and more patience, especially towards yourself. We are our own worst enemy when it comes to expectations and delivering on things, both professionally and just personally. And we often forget to be patient with ourselves. We think that we should know this and do it quick and be perfect. We're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. So be really patient towards yourself, especially during these challenging times that we're going through with COVID and the stress of too much work or not enough work. There's just so much going on right now. This could be a topic all on its own, and it should be a topic all on its own on how to just, take care of ourselves. So I leave you with that. That is my presentation. We are over just a little bit. I apologize for being over. I hope this was really educational. I hope you learned a little bit. There's so much more that we can talk about as well. And if we're interested, we can always do a more in-depth session as well. But if you have any questions at all, you can get a hold of me. I can put my email in the chat box as well. Contact me. I'm open ears. I'm available all the time, and I'd love to help you or answer any of your questions. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Jamie, thank you so much. I have, if you could put your email address, that would be great if you're willing to do that. I've also put Jamie's name in the chat box along with the name of her business, and that will get you to her Facebook page if you would like to view that. The CEU code for today, and Jamie, if you don't mind sticking around, there are a couple questions, but I do want to provide the CEU code for those that need it. C as in cat, 170199. Again, that code is C as in cat, 170199. And a couple of questions for you. Again, if you have to run, we are at the hour, so feel free to. A recording will also be sent if you have to run and you want to hear the questions too. Jamie, there's a question, when is Jamie coming back to Paw and Order? So that's a question. You can guess who that is from. It's from Stephanie. Another question was directed at whether you're a pet care center or family that fosters pets. Is there things that they can do on their side to prepare for the transition? Or does most of that have to take place once the transition has happened?
So I think I get the question as, is there any other tips or tricks on the actual transition itself? So going from like facility to home or home to facility kind of thing? Is that what the question is?
It seems like if someone is fostering a pet, are there things that they can do to prepare the dog for the transition into the long-term home, is how I'm reading it.
Oh, definitely. Well, everything that was on this slideshow, definitely those are strategies that I would put forth into that. So everything you did as a foster parent to have that space and that home ready for that foster animal, I would be telling the new long-term family those same things. So create that safe space. Where is the rest area? Don't go out for 10K walks on their first day. Like every day doing something a little bit more. Not only is it great for the decompression part, but it's also great for teaching boundaries and expectations in the house, so that when they actually earn freedom for the rest of the house or outside, that they're not just running away or damaging things and wrecking things. So it's a lot about the behavior components as well that this also prevents long-term growth for. So everything that's in this slideshow, I would say that's exactly what you want to send to the long-term home as well. For me, when I'm a foster and I have an animal that's getting ready to go back to their long-term care as well, I will usually write out like a little list of things of, you know, what they liked when they were here, how well they ate, so kind of their likes and dislikes, but those things are also going to change in the new home. But it just kind of gives them a little bit more. I've had many animals that have come into my home that have behavioral issues. So, you know, such as food aggression or space sensitivities, or they're anxious, they can't be left alone. So those are things that I would give after doing my assessment, saying, okay, this is what I found has worked really well so far in our home. You might want to try these in your home. If they don't work out, please contact me and I can kind of help you out throughout. I mean, being a trainer gives me that ability. But as a foster parent, you've already learned so much about the animal that you should be able to help the long-term family with coping skills as well, because you kind of learn together. But definitely time is of the importance. So if I could say to any foster family or anybody that is, you know, transitioning to another pet for a long term, is give that animal time. They need time. That's it.
Got it. Thank you. And then a final question here, I guess, is more directed toward me. Will this presentation be available for recording for folks that might want to show it to another team member or something else? The answer to that is yes. If you registered for this presentation, a recording link will be sent to you in the next day or so. We are also going to post it on our Facebook page. The other thing I just wanted to mention is because Jamie's class has made me remember a fantastic class that Nee Kang, another trainer, did for us a couple of years back on separation anxiety. So if this is a topic that's of interest to you, it is on our channel where all of our free CEUs are. We will post that on the PAC Facebook page, a link to our channel, and you can see Jamie's course there, and you also can see Nee's course on separation anxiety, along with a number of other courses that we've done over the past few years. Jamie, I can't thank you enough. This topic is so important and so timely, and we're so thankful that you were able to put it together for us before the end of the year and before things start to get too hectic with the holidays coming. If you have any other questions, Jamie's email address is in the chat box, so feel free to scribble that down. Again, the CEU code is C as in cat, 170199. And if you have a minute, go to the PAC Facebook page or the PAC website, paccert.org. Make sure you follow us on Facebook so you get all the latest updates on these great classes, as well as the study groups in our channel. Jamie, thank you again, and hope everyone has a great day.
Thank you, everyone.